Hey everyone, welcome back to Williamson Ridge Outdoors. Today we're going to be taking a look at our new EastonMade 916 wood splitter. I can tell you right now from just what I've used it so far, I've actually probably split about 2 or 3 cords of firewood with it, and it is an absolute beast. We're going to be using this thing around the property here all the time. Our wood splitting is going to be so much faster now, and really for us, like that's a really good thing, because you know, we've got the horses, we've got hay fields, we try to mow hay and all that kind of stuff all the time, and between all the things that go on with the property and the upkeep and all that plus work, it's really hard to spend hours and hours cutting and splitting firewood. But we burn firewood as our only source of heat, and we also heat our water that way too. So we have to have firewood, and we have to have quite a bit of it. So anything that can really save us time is a great thing. And you know, the firewood thing too, I do it a lot too because I enjoy doing it. But there's also a limit to where that you get too much of it, especially when you're so pressed for time all the time. So, you know, when you're really feeling that pressure and you're not getting enough done, it's like, man, you know, you just get the overburdened and stressed. So a machine like this is going to be awesome. But anyways, today's video is not so much about that, and not so much showing all that. I do have a lot of footage of it, and there'll be an upcoming video of putting this thing to work and, you know, showing what I've used it for. I've had some great big oak rounds and stuff that I've run on it, and it just bust right through that stuff. But today is to really take you in and show you detail about this machine, and what I feel kind of put me over the edge to decide to go with the EastonMade, because it seems like everybody wants to get the best, you know, bang for their buck or whatever. So I'll kind of show you why that I decided that I felt that EastonMade was the way for us. So first, it's got the Honda GX340 engine on it, which is an 11 horsepower, and it's mated to a 16 gallon per minute high pressure pump. Of course, this model has the log lift on it. It's got an aluminum catch pan to catch your logs coming off the splitter. It's got an 8-inch I-beam mainframe. I mean, the structure of this thing, or the main chassis of it, so to speak, is just a big 8-inch I-beam. It has a 4x24 hydraulic cylinder. I mean, just look at the size of the ram in this thing. These are Galtech valves, and man, they are just smooth. They're not like the valves you get on, say, like your residential splitter. There's just something about them that just feels different about the way that these things work. And I mean, they're just really nice feeling valves, and they just work really smooth. And you can use them from either side of the machine. The side that I'm standing on right now is typically the side that you would operate the splitter from. But if you decide that you want to load logs and stay on this side of the machine, you can do that. You can put your logs on here, and a lot of them, the big stuff, I steady, you know, and I'll hold them steady with one hand. I'll raise the log up to keep it secure, and then just roll it over there from this side, and then go ahead and push it through, and I don't have to go back and forth and change sides. You can operate it from either side, so that's awesome. Another cool thing, the lift itself, if you put this down and say you got a buddy helping you out or something, and you set that log lift down on their foot, it's actually designed to free float. you can actually raise it up, and so if there's something under it, even a log or somebody's foot or whatever, you're not crushing somebody's foot or lifting your machine up because you've got a log underneath your lift. It'll just come down and the lift will stop, and then you can just kick out or you know, clear the obstruction or whatever, and then it'll fall on down to the ground. But that's a really cool feature. The lift rides on this arm and on this wheel, so it free floats. This thing doesn't have any resistance whenever it's resting on the bottom of your lift. Raises up. I mean, it's just smooth as silk. I really like that. The log cradles are another really important part, I think, and a part that I really like about this machine. If you've got a piece of wood over here, say on the lift, and you roll this thing off, your cradle's going to catch that. And even the big pieces, like these big 30-inch pieces, will roll over and they'll size up and they'll sit right in that. So that's a really good thing. I don't have to worry about trying to catch it and hold it still and, you know, hold it steady to stay on there. It centers up all the time. It does the work for you pretty much with that. So another thing, yeah, this catch pan, it slides off. So if you need to change your wedge, which in this case we've got the 4-way on here, but if you need to change that, then you can pull a pin, slide this off, you can get to that thing to lift it straight up, and it makes it real easy to get to and work around, so, or you don't have to work around it or try to step over it. The wedge itself, there's no tools, there's no big aggravation to try to remove that. This thing's set up to where that when you let that all the way down, it disengages from the wedge itself. So then you can just raise that wedge up and out of there and set another one down in there and just go to start using it. And you don't have to pull pins, you don't have to unscrew anything. It's all done just by lowering your hydraulics all the way down for your wedge. Really cool setup. This thing is beefy. Not only the pusher itself here, but down here where it slides on the frame. This thing's set up with wear components in it. You got a big piece of brass right here, and you got 2 wear plates in there, and all this is bolted together and squeezed onto the I-beam. And you know, if over time that this should happen to wear out, which probably for my use, I'll probably never wear this out, but if I ever did, I can unbolt it, put new pieces in there, and it's good as new. And I really appreciate companies that think that far ahead, of thinking of, like, you know, in the future, if somebody's really working this machine and it does happen to wear these components out, then they can replace them and they don't have to buy a whole new piece to be able to tighten this stuff back up the way that it should to keep it from flopping around. And they thought ahead of time to make sure that they can have a machine that's going to last them a lifetime. So I just wanted to show you this wedge setup. I'm going to try to make this easier on myself, but I'm going to pull the tray off. And now I've got the hydraulics lowered all the way. So then you can just take your wedge out, and if you have a 6-way or something like that, then you can just drop it right down into place and you're good to go. You're changed out. I didn't have to pull no pins, didn't have to do anything but just lower the hydraulics all the way down. And same way, putting it back in, it's ready to go. I don't have to do anything else. You can also tow this machine from either end, and in order to do so, you've just got a pin right here. You pull that out, you slide out your tongue and go around to the other end. You just slide it in this end, and you're locked in, ready to go. So if you are splitting wood all day, and you've got a great big pile of firewood out here on the end of your splitter, you can't get to it with a vehicle to hook to it and tow it. So you just pull it out, put it on this end, pull it away from your wood pile, and then you can go back over to this side and put it back in and tow it down the road. While we have that pan off, I mean, look at the structure here too. They've got nice big heavy supports to support the firewood pan, so you know that nothing's gonna bend that thing. In fact, I've had some really big pieces that fell off whenever I split them, and I thought, man, I don't know if that aluminum pan is, you know, going to be that stout. And it's probably a 30 or 35 inch piece of oak, and a big half of it fell over. Didn't even, no problems at all. It's also got a nice big 25-gallon hydraulic oil tank. This big 25-gallon tank lets you run this machine for hours on end without getting it overheated. They even have a temperature gauge on here in order to, where you can keep a check on that. One of the other things, the tires. Now again, that doesn't seem like much, but if you need to move this and go down the road with it, it's got a 13-inch tire and wheel package on it, and this one's set up to where if you need to pull it, you know, a good distance or something, it's not going to be overheating your hubs. It's going to handle it. In case anybody was wondering, I mentioned this beam a minute ago being an 8-inch I-beam. The steel on this beam is 1 inch thick. So not only is it an 8-inch I-beam, but it's 1 inch thick steel. So I've got a little stack of wood here that I'm going to go ahead and get this split up. This is actually the last stack of rounds that I already have cut up. So I'm going to run through those, split them up. We'll see how long that takes. There's not a whole lot here, but I mean, it's still, you know, going to make a good little pile of firewood. That didn't take very much time at all. I forgot to set my timer whenever I started splitting wood. So I go back and look at the recording and see how much time was actually there. But that pile of wood was 11 feet long and 2.5 feet high. And all the pieces were 18 inches long. So, I mean, it's a pretty good little stack of wood. Didn't take very long to get through it at all. There was a few pieces that I ended up I couldn't lift them up, so I moved them over and brought them up on the log lift, which is exactly why I wanted this splitter so bad, because I get into pieces all the time that, man, they're just hard to deal with. You can't hardly lift them up, and that log lift makes short work of them. I mean, it's just, it's a back saver, it's a time saver. I mean, it's just awesome. So that's pretty much going to wrap it up on our EastonMade 916 wood splitter. I hope I've covered pretty much everything on it. If I haven't, make sure you leave questions down in the comments below. I'd be happy to get back with you on any of that kind of stuff. Also, I want to thank Andrew Easton for just being great to work with and really getting me hooked up with an amazing wood splitter. Also, you can check them out at EastonMadeWoodSplitters.com. I will put a link below. He also has a YouTube channel, and you can check out some demos and that kind of stuff there also. I'll also put a link for that. But stay tuned. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, because this splitter is going to be used in real world conditions, everyday use. In fact, it's actually got me so excited I might end up actually trying to, instead of just splitting firewood for myself, I may end up going and trying to sell some firewood, because this splitter's it's an enjoyment for me to use, and you actually see progress with the time spent using it. And you know, if like my old splitter, I would work on that thing for an hour, 2 hours, and yeah, it splits wood and all that kind of stuff, but the production that you get out of it, you know, versus the time spent using it, it's just not there for me personally, because I just have so many other things that I'm all the time doing, projects and stuff going on around the property. So anyways, this thing's actually fun to use, and you know, like I say, it's actually got me thinking that I may go ahead and try to split some extra wood and sell a little bit. So, but anyways, like I say, if you've got any questions or anything, feel free to leave those in the comments below. I'll get back with you on that as quick as I can. And always make sure to click that like button, subscribe, and thanks for watching.